Ethiopia is facing its worst drought in decades. Crop production has fallen up to 90% in some regions, a consequence of an El Niño weather pattern that has caused a significant declines in rain in some parts of the world and floods in others. The Rome-based UN Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, says the drought has decimated Ethiopian livestock and threatened food supplies for 10.2 million people. FAO says access to pasture and water will worsen until the rainy season begins in March. The United Nations says the worst drought in 30 years in Ethiopia means 400,000 children are suffering from severe acute malnutrition and more than 10 million people need food aid. The United Nations Food Agency called on Friday for an emergency cash injection of $50 million to help the country overcome the crisis. Now joining us in the studio is Carolyn Miles, President and CEO of the non-governmental organization Save the Children U.S. Ms. Miles, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lenore.
So you just returned from Ethiopia where you saw firsthand the devastation on the ground. What can you tell us in terms of what is happening?
Well, I just returned a few days ago, and I'm very concerned primarily about the children and the impact on kids there. About 400,000 children are severely malnourished, and that means that those kids are very, very susceptible to the diseases that kill the most children in Ethiopia, which is pneumonia and malaria. So I did meet with many mothers and many children while I was there, and it is a very dire situation, I would say, for kids.
So where are we seeing this drought and these issues?
It's fairly widespread across the country, but particularly the Afar region where I was, and then into the highlands in the north are some of the hardest hit areas. That's where we visited. And people now are receiving food, supplementary food there, but it's not enough food. It's maybe enough for 3 people and their family size is 5, and they're getting food every other month, and they need food on a monthly basis. So there really is a shortage right now of very basic things, food and water.
And who are the partners that are coming together? Save the Children, of course, is on the ground. What is the role that the government is playing in this picture?
Well, I think actually in this particular crisis, the Ethiopian government has been very good. They have committed about $300 million to this response, which for the Ethiopian government is a huge amount. They really are stepping up. They are providing food. Save the Children is the largest NGO that's working in the country. We're working in 60 of the hardest hit Woredas districts in Ethiopia. But there needs to be more support from the international community. We need more organizations. We need more other governments to help with food, with money, with people.
Now, in 1984, Ethiopia went through a drought that really the international community got involved. We saw the scale in which people were really rallied behind the country. Do you think we're getting to that extent of a drought, or are we not there?
I think we could tip into that same place very shortly. If the rains, there's been 3 successive rains that have failed. If the next rains, which are due in March, if they are not strong, I think that could definitely tip the country into that same situation as 1984. But you know, things are different this time. There is much more of an early warning system. We started kind of warning in the mid-summer that this was happening. But we can't, you know, an early warning system's no good if we don't actually listen to it. So now we really have to take action. We don't want to see children dying in massive numbers from this crisis.
So where do you see the pressing needs moving forward? What is Save the Children doing before we wrap up?
Well, Save the Children really has only 2 emergencies around the world that we would categorize what we call Category 1. One is the Syrian crisis and the millions and millions of refugees, particularly children that are both displaced inside and outside the country. And the second one is Ethiopia. So we have said this is our highest priority. We are trying to raise $100 million to respond ourselves, to respond to this crisis. We think it's it really threatens the progress that has been made in Ethiopia. It's one of the countries that actually made the MDG,
yes, in
4,
reducing child mortality.
and they made it early, 2
Yes,
years early.
yes.
So we do not want to see the country slide back. So we're giving this a very high priority. We are already delivering food and water and livestock feed, because if people lose their livestock, that's really all the assets that they have for the future. So big response from us.
Indeed. Ms. Miles, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that was Carolyn Miles. She is president and CEO of Save the Children U.S.